most importantly, that we're part of the fabric of our city, that we think about Chicago and our city's motto as Herbs and Horto, or City in a Garden. American Heart Association, as an association, taking this strategy to fund projects like ours is revolutionary.
This field is where I belong, and that's why I'm still in this field. But it's open up for everybody else too.
My name is Erica Allen, and I'm one of the co-founders and co-CEOs of Urban Growers Collective. Urban Growers Collective is exactly what it sounds. We work in the city primarily. We want to make sure that everybody has equal access to nutritionally dense food, and that we have pathways that we're developing where folks can build businesses. Urban Growers Collective works with all community, but I think that our focus are, the people who live around our projects, young people who are disconnected from the earth and from natural systems and just with basic food literacy, to elders who don't have consistent access to healthy, nutritionally dense food.
I ain't grow up knowing nothing about farming or nothing, and I went over there with my brothers at that time, because it was right across the street from our building, so it was just, trying to see, because this is where we hung at, like the building is like where we was hanging at, because Cabrini Green got a lot of violence going on, a lot of wars, and a lot of things, so that was kind of like our safe zone, just in the building that we was hanging at. And sure enough, one day, folks was over there working, and we went over there to see what was going on in the neighborhood or what was going on, and me, my brothers, and a couple more friends went over to the garden, met Erica Allen and her dad, Will Allen, and they talked to us about farming and about vegetables and how we can be a part of this new piece that's being built in our neighborhood.
I'm Laurel Sims, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Urban Growers Collective. Our largest farm in Chicago is a 7-acre farm, and we grow an abundance of produce. And through our Fresh Moves Mobile Market, which is a bus that we've retrofitted into essentially a market that goes from place to sell fresh produce, but also staples, so like beans and rice and other just things that you would find at a grocery store. We're able to provide, those staple items and produce that you would find at a grocery store in neighborhoods that don't have access to grocery stores. And so that's one of the major barriers that many neighborhoods across the South Side and West Side face.
We live in a city that has a lot of structural violence, and that impacts us. To be able to come into a space, and especially young people who may have not had this experience growing up in the city, and to be able to come in and have their gifts come out. So it's constantly having spaces where we can learn from each other, exchange ideas, and not necessarily to instantly monetize and to capitalize on, but to be able to restore our cultures and restore our economies so that we can grow and heal.
On the south side of Chicago, there aren't a lot of options. There are a few farmers markets, but they're definitely few and far between, and there are very few grocery stores. Our goal at Urban Growers Collective is not just to be able to provide food through the Fresh Moves Mobile Market, but it's also to really support growers. And through our funding with the American Heart Association, we've been able to definitely provide more growing land and more resources for our incubator farmers so that we can have more growers in the community to provide more food for our neighbors. As a Black and women-owned organization, we're historically underrepresented in foundational giving. And so we've definitely found ourselves not always boxed out, but certainly boxed out in the funding world. And when we've entered rooms, we are not always heard, and we are often talked over. With the American Heart Association funding, one of the ways we've been able to leverage those funds is through the cooler that we received. With the money, we were able to purchase a refrigeration unit, which allowed our farmers to be able to sell actually more product, because we've been able to have shelf-stable product. And by doing that, we've been able to sell more product on the bus. They've been able to sell more product to restaurants. And so we've been able to demonstrate that to other funders. our goal at Urban Growers Collective is to just keep growing. And so for us, and our next steps with our Green Era Urban Farming Campus is to have more land and more resources to be able to support more growers. And so for us, we want to be able to support as many Black and brown growers as possible and to be able to buy their produce and product so that we can continue to expand.
Before I met Erica, thinking everything was coming out the grocery store because I always was going grocery shopping with my mama. And like my mom and them never told me about like farming, or like my grandma and them been did in Mississippi. They didn't tell me that. Erica, talking to Erica, seeing her fight and just seeing, like, following her around and all the time that she put into me, like, was like so satisfied to me. And it's just like my main thing is right now is to like help change the community, help change the world by continuing to do the work that we're doing, is growing delicious foods, and like also open up these pathways for the next generation.
AHA support has, I think, really exemplifies that important evolution and fair and equitable way of distributing resources so that we can really all recover and be place-based and implementing the change that we want to see.
The inequities in our food systems compound other injustices already experienced by Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. The American Heart Association's Bernard J. Tyson Impact Fund addresses food insecurity holistically by investing in organizations, social entrepreneurs, and farmers that are working to increase access to fresh, healthy foods.